Welcome back to the second half of News Talk. We're talking to Andy Miscuk, who's Democratic candidate for D.C. delegate, running against Eleanor Holmes Norton, who, by the way, she hasn't had a challenger in 16 years, so this should be an interesting race for the primary. We talked about voting rights. Let's talk a little bit about some other issues that are important to you in your campaign. You had mentioned affordable housing and gentrification. I think they're both kind of go hand in hand.
Yes, they do. Yes,
Talk
they do.
About that.
I think it's a very important issue for our city and cities across the United States, but we need to get a handle on this in the District of Columbia. The situation is desperate. Over the past 10 years or so, we've had so many people who've had to leave their neighborhoods, move elsewhere out of the District of Columbia, and in some cases into less housing, smaller housing that is not up to par, and the market has just run away. And I think there's three reasons why it's very, very important we take on this issue, and I think it's a very important issue for our delegate. I think it's something our delegate needs to be involved in, and that's something I plan to be involved in as delegate. First off, it's just right. You need to take care of affordable housing. You need to provide housing for the working class and the middle class and make it affordable. Number two, it is our nation's capital, and the people who come to the nation's capital to work, to lobby, to express their opinion on issues need to see something that reflects America. And that means all classes living together, not just a city that has the people with a six-digit income who can afford to live in the nation's capital. I think it's very, very important that we reflect what our nation is rather than just an elite in the nation's capital. And I think third, and a very, very important issue, access to democracy. Washington, D.C. serves as a place where people from all over the nation come to express their opinions on ideas, whether it's pro-gun control, against gun control, pro-life, pro-choice, all valuable opinions. When you price housing out of the market, you limit who gets to come to the nation's capital and fight for these issues. So it's a national issue. We're talking about access to our government. We're talking access to Congress. And as housing goes out of sight, less and less people can come to the District of Columbia and fight for those issues. Some
would say, you know, there have been so many things. They did the groundbreaking on Target in Columbia Heights.
Correct.
A Giant is coming to Brentwood. Talk a little bit about, a Giant has come to Brentwood, I'm sorry. You know, the mayor and so many other D.C. leaders say, hey, this is a good thing. We are updating our neighborhoods. We are giving them services that they haven't had before. They've had to go out of the city, to go to the grocery store, to go to a retail store. What do you say to that? I mean, there is good and bad in that development.
Absolutely, but nobody thought ahead and nobody looked forward to this and said, well, when this happens, real estate's going to go out of sight, and then there's going to be people who are going to be put out. And we need a comprehensive plan. I don't think it's too late. We still have neighborhoods that we can save and families who've lived for many generations in the District of Columbia who are going to need this assistance because this isn't going to stop. The presence of the federal government constrains the real estate in the District of Columbia. We can only build so high. There's places we can't build. So since it's tighter and tighter and tighter and we're pulling more and more people into the district, it's just by economics, it's going to raise the prices of housing.
So you're saying city officials to get more involved in allocating more affordable housing?
I think a lot of members of our council have been very, very good on this issue.
Right.
But I think we need a concerted effort. We need to pull federal resources into this because for the reasons I've outlined, access to democracy, access to our Congress, access for people from all over this country to be able to do their term of service, if you will, politically, who come for 2 years for an internship or a job with a congressman or an NGO, a nonprofit, and they don't pay that well. Right. A lot of these people are working 2 and 3 jobs just so they can support the one job they're here to do. But I think we need to bring our city council to the Hill. We need to partner with city council, with the mayor, and continually be at the Hill. And our advisory neighborhood commissioners in our individual neighborhoods who see firsthand the effects, who are the first call that's made when a tenant gets a notice that their building's going to be sold, or when a building's going to go condo. One of those things. They're the first to know. We need to bring them up in the Hill. We've got some council members, Councilmember Mendelson, Councilmember Graham, who've been on the forefront of these issues. They could be helpful on the Hill. We need to take them up there and fight for these issues.
All right. Thank you so much. Everything from voting rights to affordable housing, a lot of causes that you're championing. And thank you so much for being with us today. Andy Miscuk.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Running for Democratic candidate for D.C. delegate against Eleanor Holmes Norton. It should be an interesting race.
I hope so.
All right. Thank you so much.